Finally!
Hello everyone, this is Jeff of TAOFLEDERMAUS. A couple years ago, somebody gave Greg a couple boxes of these old 16 gauge birdshot shells. Now I believe these are from the early 1960s, but the biggest problem is we don't have a 16 gauge shotgun and it's birdshot, which isn't very exciting to be honest. And as you can see, these are paper shells and they weren't given to us to put on a shelf, they were given us to use somehow. Now here we can see the size difference between a 16 gauge and a 12 gauge shell. Just a little bit smaller. And if we mic it out, we could see that the diameter of the 16 gauge shell is roughly 0.715, 0.720. But anyway, the base of it is definitely too large for the bore of a 12 gauge, but the shell itself is nearly a perfect fit for a 12 gauge. And it's not super tight and it's not super loose. It's just a kind of a nice snug fit. So we will trim off the part that does not fit the entire brass base. Yeah, that looks real, doesn't it? So we'll essentially have a 16 gauge cut shell at this point. Everything just lines up perfectly like the stars. You know, we have the good diameter, the good weight, and we seem to have good balance too. It's pretty nose heavy, so it may work pretty well out of a smooth bore. Now the slug has its own attached gas seal, a very short one because the overall length of this is almost 2 inches or about 50 millimeters. But it'll still fit in a 2 3/4 inch 12 gauge hole, somehow. It's a really simple design, but boy were we plagued with problems with this one. Let's see how they do.
Today we got Brianna back today. What have you been up to?
Well, for the last 8 months I've been working on growing a human, so
Oh, okay.
we'll get to have another addition in a couple of months.
Well, a lot of people have been asking about you and like, when are you getting Brianna back? And it's like, hey, weather's great, and you finally had a free day off and everything, and really appreciate you out here.
Now since I came up with this goofy load, I decided, hey, I better stand behind it and take the first shot. Now we want to make sure the load is safe. We want to know if it's accurate. We want to know if the red dot is zeroed. We want to know what the velocity is, how much recoil it has, and will it work with rifling. So with that first shot, we got a whole lot of data, and it sure looks like it's going to work out well, and it's going to be a good day. Okay, now we'll let Brianna shoot, and I will get back behind the high-speed camera so we can get that footage. And we are still using the full rifled barrel. And just like my shot, Brianna landed it pretty much at point of aim. However, the stability of this slug was pretty bad. We had some spin, but not enough to stabilize it. Still, it's not horrible. Now we've swapped out the barrel of the Mossberg 500 from a rifled barrel to a smoothbore. Let's see if we can see any improvement with that.
Jeez.
Now I was expecting greater things from a smoothbore. I was expecting them to behave like a normal cut shell, in fact. But the accuracy was atrocious. The stability was terrible. It more or less flew sideways. I wanted to see what the projectile looked like coming right out of the barrel. See if we had any weird barrel snap or anything like that. But in this shot, it behaved perfectly, had perfect stability all the way to the target. Go figure. Of course, this one worked perfectly. Now, since we had decent accuracy, at least with the rifled barrel, we decided to give that another try.
Okay, that's...
Now this time, using full rifling, the shell came completely apart. We had a cone of birdshot kind of spraying all in a big area. A couple of the little pellets hit the water jug. Things are just getting worse. Let's give it another try with the full rifled barrel.
What the heck's going on? I think it's leaking too.
Yeah, it's leaking.
What?
Well, finally we're able to see clearly what's going on. Because of the high rate of spin from the rifle barrel, the paper hole is just being ripped apart. Just ripped it right open. Now at 1,300 feet per second, the slug is spinning at around 26,000 RPM. The rotational force, centrifugal force or centripetal force, is so strong it's just tearing itself apart. Now this is a couple of the paper holes that we recovered. You can see we have good rifling marks on there. They're not cuts, they're just kind of embossed on there. Now I think the reason why we didn't see all the shots come apart like that is because I had just cleaned the barrel, oiled it, and I think we were just getting some slippage. But as we shot it, it started to grip a little better. Now what kind of force does it take to rip a shell like that apart? This is really interesting. Well, we know we're spinning the thing at 26,000 RPM, and the radius of the slug is 18 millimeters, and that gives us over 13,000 Gs of force pulling outwards. And if we do the math, that is 15,331 ounces of force, or 958 pounds of force, all trying to push itself outwards. It's no wonder it's coming apart. Now at this point we were relegated to using the smoothbore, and with the nose-heavy design I was giving these things a pretty good chance of working well out of a smoothbore.
Finally.
There we go.
Finally.
And to remember, we're only 15 yards away, and this is just almost embarrassing. Well, it is embarrassing. But at least she scored a couple hits. With the high-speed camera footage, we can at least see why they're not very accurate. And when all else fails, get a bigger target. At least this one was a pretty accurate shot despite hitting sideways, which doesn't do a lot of damage.
What is going on?
Now, the inherent problem with these slugs, in my opinion, is that they're just too long. And if we had chopped them down to 1.5 inches or less, they'd probably be a lot better.
That was shot low to the right.
Now, you probably noticed a lot of the shots were going to the left. Well, this one went to the right, so there goes that. It wasn't just an aiming issue.
Finally!
And after all that, we finally got one that flew straight through the air. Go figure. So yeah, it was a very frustrating day that day. It started out looking really promising, but hopefully we'll get Brianna back out and get her some better ammo to shoot next time. I want to congratulate Paul Harrell for reaching 1 million subscribers today. Now, unfortunately, Paul has pancreatic cancer, and he may not be with us for much longer. Just a few days ago, he was at around 700,000 subscribers. And I think it was In Range TV who came up with the idea of, hey, let's get him to 1 million subscribers in order to show him that we care about him and love him. And I think that was a sweet gesture. But thank you everyone who helped him get to 1 million subscribers. We'll see you next time.